Hey Moo Crew, I don't know about you, but most of the food content I consume comes from TikTok. Even if it's a YouTube video, it's usually a compilation, so I follow probably a few hundred accounts relating to food. The ones that get the most likes and attention are always the ones that I consider curated, whether it's appealing to a certain audience, trying to influence people to follow their diet, or rage baiting to make money. And as much as I enjoy them occasionally, my favourite accounts are just normal people filming themselves going about their regular day and letting us know what they eat whilst doing it. So that is what I am bringing to you. This is the first episode of Diaries, where I'll show you a full week of what I eat as a normal person trying to balance being healthy with living to the fullest. I don't pre-plan or track calories day to day, but I also wouldn't call it intuitive eating, because if I listened to my brain or my body, I would eat at least 3 times what you see here. But I do love eating food, making food, and talking about food, so I can't wait to share this with you guys and see what you think. What I eat on a Monday as a cow who loves counting calories. Since my wife got me this coffee pod machine for Christmas, every day starts with a latte. I know using an Americano pod to make a latte is basically a crime, but times are tough and you get more for your money, okay? Also, I pride myself on not being easily influenced, but I saw someone get this ice maker from TikTok Shop and holy moly has it changed the game for iced lattes. I've been using oat milk for years. Dairy does not agree with me, but I also don't really agree with dairy. My favourite at the moment is this Oatly Barista one, and you can get it in these 1.5 litre cartons from Lidl. With some sugar-free syrup, this latte comes out to 129 calories. And of course, I have to refill my ice cube tray ready for tomorrow before I take my wife her coffee. I always have cereal for breakfast, but I like to mix it up every time a box runs out just to keep myself on my toes. So today I've got this off-brand Special K, and for probably a portion and a half, it's 291 calories. Plus another 300 millilitres of oat milk. I use the barista version for everything. I'm pretty sure it doesn't make a difference. And Norman definitely finds it tasty, and that is the most important thing. Yep, head straight in the bowl. I do drink water, but it's no calories, so I'm never going to film it, but I did have an Iron Brew Extra at my desk as I started work. We went to our local farmer's market in the afternoon. We got there like half an hour before it was closing, so there wasn't really any human treats left, but we did get the dogs 2 chews from the game shop, and I also had one of these Rubicon drinks. Everyone but the dogs was starving by the time we walked home, so we grabbed a sausage roll from the bakery, and then I had that with crisps and a flapjack. Lidl had a special offer on one of these melons that I've never seen before, so we got it to try, but it was not as sweet as honeydew and I did not like it, but luckily Norman did. Look at his gentle bites. And no, I do not use the fork or the plates after Norman has them. Don't come for me. This chicken gnocchi dinner is one of my favourite things ever. You can shove any green veg in there and it's usually fairly low calorie, but I accidentally grabbed the Oatly double cream instead of single and that bumped it up a lot. After dinner we went looking for the new white Maltesers, but apparently so did everyone else because those shelves were stripped. I ended up finding these Haribo sweet or sour aliens. I love them, but I wish I have a vivid memory of being like 14 years old and doing the Special K diet, which is either the most genius marketing scheme they've ever come up with or a scam, depending on how you look at it. Because they basically convinced the world that Special K was a diet-friendly cereal, when really replacing lunch or dinner with any cereal just reduces your calorie intake. But anyway, I didn't eat it after that for a solid decade, and now I'm revisiting her off-brand sister, and I'm really enjoying it. I usually have probably a portion and a half, and that's 291 calories, plus 183 for 300 millilitres of oat milk. This is a pretty typical lunch for me. Me and my wife both prefer a picky plate that we can graze on across the afternoon, rather than a salad or a mini meal. The sausage roll is 330 calories, which isn't much more than a sandwich would be, so I'm not too mad about it. And the snacks are all healthier versions of what I'd really want to be eating, and definitely less calories at 275. I love cooking nice dinners. I eat pretty early, so it acts as a decompression between work and the evening. This dish specifically is probably my favourite thing that I cook myself. I accidentally picked up the Oatly double cream instead of single, so it's usually closer to 800 calories, which is what I aim for with an evening meal. And honestly, it made this a little bit too rich. I was definitely still full from dinner when I ate the Haribo. It was just a snack that I wanted whilst we were watching Vampire Diaries. I think it's okay sometimes to eat food for enjoyment, but I'm learning to take note when something is just mindless eating rather than adding something to the experience, which was definitely the case here. The total intake for Monday was 2,865 calories. What I eat on a Tuesday as a cow who loves counting calories. For breakfast, I had some off-brand Special K with oat milk and an Iron Brew Extra to start my day with a little bit of a caffeine hit. Of course, my loyal audience weren't far away waiting for their cereal milk. I did some work on the sofa this morning and my wife brought me an iced latte with caramel syrup. It's not the sugar-free one anymore. I tried, okay, I tried. Lunch was a whole grain sandwich with mayo chicken and cucumber. I had some melon on the side with a cherry flapjack and some multigrain crisps. My wife was working late, so we grabbed dinner from one of our local takeaways. I had a plain cheeseburger with mayo, garlic parmesan fries with extra garlic mayo on the side, and we shared some halloumi dippers with a sriracha and honey sauce. This was my first time trying hot sauce, and as a plain Nando's girly, I am very proud of myself. The burger was really good. I would definitely order it again, but honestly, the chips were really oily and really salty. I don't think I even ate half of them. I chugged a couple of bottles of squashes just to compensate for some of the salt. The total calories for the day was 2,439. The same start as yesterday with cereal for 474 calories. Lunch was also very similar to yesterday. The bloomer bread is really thick, so the sandwich was over 100 calories more than the sausage roll, but everything else was exactly the same. Takeaway food really doesn't sit nicely with me, and I always feel really greasy and sluggish afterwards. This was purely because it was already 8 p.m. and we were really hungry and tired. I always think it never tastes as good as you imagine when you're waiting for it to arrive either. It came to 986 calories and I definitely could have made it at home for less and enjoyed it more. I know people say not to drink your calories, but I would genuinely rather not eat breakfast than not have my iced latte. So the total intake for Tuesday is 2,439 calories. What I eat on a Wednesday as a cow who loves counting calories. As always, I started my day with a caramel iced oat milk latte, and yes, my wife does leave me a post-it note every time she's awake before me. We're going all out sugar this morning. This is probably about 1.5 servings of Frosted Flakes, and I'm having that with oat milk. This one is the whole version, so it's slightly higher calorie, but the sugary cereal leftover milk is so good, it's definitely worth it. I took my wife's advice and had my cereal with an ice-cold Iron Brew out in the garden listening to the birds. If you are not already on that Merlin app, you are missing out. For lunch, I had a sausage roll and half a fudge donut from our local bakery. Me and my wife have been arguing about whether this is just really thick cream or custard, so let me know what you think. And I had a bag of crisps and some melon. I had no dinner planned whatsoever, so this was very much a what can I find in the cupboard and throw together, and I landed on Thai green curry. This green thing popped out of the mini peppers and I genuinely jumped. I thought it was a slug. Luckily, my sous chefs were on standby to catch any scraps. As well as the main ingredients, I added a little bit of coconut sugar and also some fish sauce just to give it a bit more flavour. Thankfully, I noticed that this was triple pepper hot before adding it in, so I literally added 1/4 teaspoon and that was perfect. With any Asian dish, I always add lime and coriander to the rice. And this is the finished dinner. It looks a little bit weird because I was using leftover shredded chicken, but it was really tasty and I would definitely make it again. Switched it up today with a new, but probably higher calorie cereal. Something I've noticed is that I eat breakfast quite early, and by the time it gets to lunch, I'm really hungry again. So I think I want to work out a way to have a breakfast which is just as quick and easy, but higher in protein. Since this is probably 100% carbs and most of that is sugar, please let me know what you eat below. I'd really like to try some new things next week. Obviously, I did not need the donut, but I'm not even gonna lie, it was really good. And there was a time where I'd have eaten a whole one, so I still consider it a good choice, or at least a better choice. This dinner was a rummage through the cupboards and use up things going off in the fridge kind of dinner, and I would definitely eat it again. It came together really well. I tend to enjoy anything based on coconut milk, but I'm still shocked every time at how many calories it is. The coconut milk and rice alone came to 650 calories, and all the other ingredients were less than 300. I genuinely don't know though how to get the same kind of creaminess without it. Do you guys have any lower calorie alternatives? Because I really need to know. No snacks today, so the total intake for Wednesday was 2,376 calories. What I eat on a Thursday as a cow who loves counting calories. I started the day with an iced coffee using a Kenko cappuccino pod. In my mind, it's a latte because I add 200 milliliters of Oatly barista milk, but I am far from a coffee expert. I also add some caramel syrup to get my morning sugar fix. I had an iron brew for some caffeine, then at lunchtime we had to do a quick food shop. Lidl do limited edition bakery items every week and I was starving, so I got the cheese crusted pretzel. For lunch I had a seeded bloomer sandwich with wafer thin chicken and cucumber, some multigrain sunbite knockoffs, a birthday cake flavour fibre square and some melon. I'm trying to make more conscious decisions, so for dinner my wife had Cumberland sausages but I swapped mine out for chicken chipolatas. We had that with a few chopped up carrots and some hashed brown potato bites. As always, my sous chef was on hand for scrap duty. She's working on her catching and you better tell her she's doing a good job. The total calories I ate today are 1,759. I actually didn't have breakfast this day and clearly that was a mistake. I was trying to listen to my body and I didn't want to eat when I didn't feel hungry. But then by the time it neared lunch, I was so hungry that I needed a snack to get through the food shop. I actually think I was lured into the cheese pretzel because I keep seeing these really soft pretzels when I calorie count for Americans, and I've really had a craving to try one, but it honestly did not live up to my imaginary expectations and was not worth more than 300 calories. I also probably could have not eaten the sandwich part of lunch considering I had just eaten the pretzel, but something psychologically in me doesn't equate it to being a meal if there isn't a main item on the plate. I probably need to figure out what that is. Even though I rely on convenience foods a lot, I do try and make good choices within that, and I really love chicken sausages as a lower calorie alternative to pork ones. I think meat, potatoes, veg is a classic British dinner combo, and it usually does me pretty well. At 521 calories, it's lower than what I'd usually aim for as a meal, so a really good balance to the week. The total intake for Thursday is 1,759 calories. What I eat on a Friday as a cow who loves counting calories.
As always, I started the day with an iced oat milk latte. I tried really hard to use sugar-free syrup for a while, but it is just not sweet enough for me. This caramel one is my favourite flavour. It was my wife's birthday yesterday, so of course it would have been a crime not to have birthday cake for breakfast. This was funfetti school cake and it was so good. The sugar high died shortly before lunch, so I had an iron brew extra to give me a bit of caffeine. For lunch, I had a chocolate and cucumber sandwich, some multigrain crisps, a quarter of a honeydew melon, and some of these chocolate pistachios from M&S. It was a long work day and I really just wanted a quick and easy dinner, so I threw some chicken chipolatas in the air fryer, chopped up some carrots, whacked them on the hob, and did a microwave mashed potato. After dinner, I finished the chocolate pistachios from M&S. They are so good, very easy to eat the whole packet.
Some days you've just got to eat cake for breakfast, and at 346 calories, it's probably less than some of the sugary cereals I've eaten this week. We've seen it already. This is my standard 500 calorie lunch. It does usually keep me full till dinner, but today I really fancied some of these chocolate pistachios I got from M&S. I really struggle to eat leftovers because if food feels boring and I don't look forward to it, it really makes me crave junk food or fast food or other foods that feel off limits. So whenever I buy a protein or something that needs to stretch across 2 dinners, I try and mix up what I pair it with. So similar to yesterday, I had the chicken sausages, but today I had them with mash and carrots for 516 calories. So I'd opened the chocolate pistachios at lunchtime and I told myself I absolutely could just have one portion, but then the evening arrived. Honestly, of all the trending pistachio items I've tried, this is the only thing I would rebuy. The salty nuts with the milk chocolate are so good, but they are dangerously calorie dense, and this whole bag was almost 800 calories. The total intake for Friday was 2,393 calories. What I eat on a Saturday as a cow who loves counting calories.
We're celebrating my wife's birthday this weekend and she requested a day with all of her favourite foods, so of course I couldn't say no. That meant breakfast was ice cold Diet Coke and one of these cream fudge donuts from our local bakery. Before lunch, we went to the Bluebell Woods near our house. It was a new walk we hadn't done before and it was a lot longer than we expected, so on the way home we grabbed a sausage roll and an iron brew before we could get back and chop up some melon. For dinner, we had steak cooked in garlic butter and smothered in peppercorn sauce with some on-the-vine tomatoes roasted and some of these triple cooked chips. They are the best frozen chips you can buy. We've been obsessed with Sinners ever since we saw it in the cinema, so of course I had to recreate that in the evening with lots of popcorn, chocolate and sweets. What a great day.
Weekend mode went hard today, but it was my wife's birthday celebration, so I think it's an exception. I do prefer sweet over savoury breakfast, so I'm not even going to pretend that if you could get any sort of nutrition from a donut, I wouldn't happily eat one every day. But for 480 calories, this one will definitely have to stay for special occasions. Going straight from a donut to a pastry is obviously not ideal, and I really do need to find another grab and go alternative for when I don't have time to make something for lunch. But we've only just moved to this area, and so far Lidl Bakery and a local bakery are the only options we've found. We do also have a Starbucks, but a sausage roll is £1 compared to a £5 toasty, so we usually go to Miller and Carter for a steak dinner on both of our birthdays, but we don't have one near here, so this year we made our own at-home version. We ate way more chips than a normal portion, but other than that, I'm pleasantly surprised at how low calorie steak is, as I've always thought of red meat as relatively unhealthy and assumed that meant the calories too. I love Revels because you never know what the next flavour is going to be. I can accept any favourite other than the chocolate covered raisin, so if that is yours, I'm afraid we can't be friends. I had half a bag of those and a full bag of popcorn. I know that 500 calories is a lot, but let me tell you, I was absolutely speechless when I realised a large cinema popcorn is over 1,000 calories. I had been getting one every time I went. The total intake for Saturday was 2,783 calories. What I eat on a Sunday as a cow who loves counting calories. You know the drill, I started my day with an iced caramel oat milk latte. My coffee cup has served its final outing. It did me well. Please put recommendations in the comments. I need a new one that is going to last. As always, I started the day with a big bowl of sugar and an extra little boost of caffeine with an iron brew. Lunchtime was basically a setup. I had to go to Tesco and these cinnamon buns were staring at me from the shelf. Who could resist? I'll tell you who couldn't, me, because I ate 3. Is this ice cream with pistachios or mash with gherkins? Please settle a debate between me and my wife. For dinner, I had a breaded cod fillet with some cauliflower cheese and some carrots. You're actually supposed to heat these up in the microwave, so I have no idea why they came out looking like they were covered in cobwebs, but I swear it tasted better than it looked. Also, I've just noticed that the packet said cauliflower, but that is definitely broccoli. Guys, I was so serious about breakfast recommendations because all I can think looking at these numbers crossing 500 calories is that surely I could eat something so much more filling than Frosties. This lunch is outrageous. I swear I had every intention of only eating a quarter, but they were too good. Like, I clearly have no self-control. I can never buy them again, but I can't even pretend that it wasn't worth it. Please make me feel better by telling me the one thing you can never eat just one of. This dinner felt like a cozy Sunday meal and a really balanced plate compared to the cinnamon bun marathon at lunchtime. It came to 568 calories, so I think it feels good for me to aim for a fish product instead of meat and swapping out a potato side for another veg option. God, this is really showing me how much of a sucker I am for a sugary drink. I do genuinely think I drink about the same amount of water to other drinks every day because I drink a lot, but for the sake of my purse and my sugar intake, I really need to work on bringing this down. The total number of calories for Sunday was 2,305. So that means the total for the week is 16,920 calories, which is about 3,000 more than what I should be aiming for. Going into next week, I definitely want to try and get each day down by about 500 calories, so keeping it closer to 2,000 as an average. I also want to reduce the amount of processed choices I make. If you want to see more of this series, please do let me know, and I'll see you next week for episode 2 of the Moo Diaries.